In the year 1970, Anna Mae Hayes, the chief of the Army Nurse Corps, would receive a promotion that would pave the way for all future female officers in the military. Anna Mae McCabe Hayes was born on February 16th in 1920 in Buffalo, New York, to parents who were both officers in the Salvation Army. She grew up in a household of religion, music, and service, and even in her young age, she had an interest in nursing.
When war broke out in 1941, Anna Mae Hayes, like many other women, joined the Army Nurse Corps. She was a member of the 20th General Hospital, a unit at the University of Pennsylvania.
Well, of course, the World War II. That was the only reason. I hadn't even heard of Army nurses until World War II. But then I wanted to be an Army nurse. Everyone wanted to be an Army nurse in World War II who was a nurse. But I was fortunate, and I joined the University of Pennsylvania unit, and we had our first assignment in Louisiana, and then we traveled to China, Burma, India theater, and spent 2.5 years as one unit. And that, of course, with the best doctors and great nurses. It was a tremendous time for any youngster.
The 20th General Hospital was sent to the China-Burma India Theater in January of 1943. The hospital was based in Lido, India, at the beginning of the famous Lido Road. Hayes served there for 2.5 years and promoted to first lieutenant before returning home to the States.
When the North Koreans invaded their southern neighbors in 1950, Hayes became a member of the 4th Field Hospital, where she was based at Incheon, South Korea. After the Korean conflict, she served in many other positions, including duty at Walter Reed Hospital, where she served as one of 3 private nurses to President Eisenhower for 30 days after an ileitis attack.
In 1963, Hayes promoted to the rank of lieutenant colonel and was selected by the chief of the Army Nurse Corps, Colonel Mildred Clark, to be the assistant chief. By 1967, Hayes had been promoted to the rank of colonel and was appointed chief of the Army Nurse Corps.
Well, it wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy, but I don't think I really tried to make it to the top. I was selected as the assistant chief of the Army Nurse Corps.
Right.
And then after that, I went to Catholic University for my master's. And then I was selected as the chief. And at that time, I didn't really think I was going to become chief, but it was a great pleasure.
Colonel Hayes, it is a great pleasure for me now to join with Lieutenant General Hal Jenkins, Surgeon General of the United States Army, in pinning on your new insignia of rank.
June 11, 1970, following a recent change in legislature, Anna Mae Hayes was promoted to Brigadier General along with Chief of Women's Army Corps Elizabeth Hoisington. This made General Hayes the first female in the military to be promoted to a general officer rank.
This piece of legislation, Public Law 90-130, had been signed into law by President Johnson in 1967. The law lifted many restrictions on females in the military, including the ability to promote to general officer rank.
Well, in the process, I wasn't really involved too much, but at that time, I had already become the chief of the Army Nurse Corps, and no one ever really came to me and asked me what I felt about it. But I was able to contribute the value of Army nurses and that what this role would mean to Army nursing, to our legislators.
The reactions from the public and the members of the military following the promotion were generally very positive and supportive.
Very positive. There were a few jokes, of course,
Right.
Pictures of us entertaining general officers, which was just a farce. But no, the reaction was absolutely wonderful. There were 1 or 2 people, of course, who probably didn't like it, but it didn't come to our attention.
General Hayes' promotion was a major change for the military and opened doors for female officers in all of the branches.
Well, it really made a tremendous change. It really did open doors. The director of the Women's Army Corps became a general officer right after me, and then it was spread to the other corps, but it took a while. It was about, let me see, probably 2 years before the Air Force had a general officer, and then 3 years, I think, for the Navy. But it didn't take much longer that it went to the other corps as well. It really was a great step.
In the years following Hayes' promotion, the Navy and the Air Force had their first female general officers. In more recent years, the military had its first female four-star general. Women are able to move up in the military just as well as any male counterpart.
The women that I have known in the military have competed just as favorably and done very well. As a matter of fact, I have a female friend that I suspect will become a female Army General Officer. She's been promoted early a couple of times, and she's done very demanding jobs in units that are mostly male. And I don't think she's been disadvantaged at all. And I think she's enjoyed her Army experience in part because she's seen the equity that exists.
General Hayes' promotion was a major turning point for women in the military. Since her promotion, women have not only had more opportunities to promote, but have since filled positions previously only available to men, including fighter pilot and helicopter pilot. Women have also been deployed abroad in hostile areas. These changes have brought about positive results.
I came in the Air Force in 1991, and that was right just before they started, in particular for the Air Force, they started allowing women into most of the major combat specialties, so flying fighters, flying bombers, that type of thing. And so I was just before that period. And since then I've seen, I believe it's up to 99% now are open to women. So a pretty significant change if you think back to the start of the Air Force and where we were at.
Well, I think for the most part it's changed in a pretty positive way. I think that that women have brought a lot of cultural diversity to the Army, and I think that's probably a good thing. The Army might have been considered previously like an all-boys club, but the reality is that when you deploy to combat, you find that you work with a lot of women, you work with a lot of civilians. As a result, the places that we operate, the places that we deploy to, require some cultural diversity, some skills maybe that we've learned because of the fact that we have women in the Army.
In more recent news, the Department of Defense changed its policies on women serving in combat units, but there are standards that still need to be upheld.
Here's the interesting thing. You probably don't even know this yet, but the first women are about to go through Ranger School. Now, Ranger School is just a school. It's a school that really primarily focuses on leadership, but previously has only been opened to men. Women have not been allowed to go. I know here in the next 6 months the first women are going to go through Ranger School. Do I foresee women serving in Ranger units, which is different than Ranger School? No, I do not.
A lot of the mission sets in the military have challenges to them that are specific to that mission set. So I don't think that those challenges are really gender specific.
Well, I have a couple of opinions on it. The first is I think that women are capable of doing a lot of the jobs that maybe they're currently not authorized to serve in. And I think in some cases, like for an infantryman, if they're going to consider putting women in the infantry, and that's what I am as an infantry officer, is that what they'll have to consider is what is the physical standard that's required for service in the infantry, and what is that an infantryman has to be able to do physically, and if a woman can do that, then they should be allowed to join.
Thanks to General Hayes, women will continue to serve and move forward in the United States military.
That there is a possibility that they can look at themselves as someone special just by the simple fact that they're women. And I don't think that that's true. I think what makes them special is the fact that they volunteered to serve and that they volunteered to do so in a pretty demanding skill set.
General Hayes' promotion has truly paved the way for all women in the military.
I think we're particularly fortunate to have two such able and attractive ladies to mark this turning point in Army history.